I'd like a tall tagline.
A tall drink a tagline.
That was a stretch. I just wanted to play on this.
No, it's fine.
Oh, I just threw that right at you.
Oh, no, that's
okay.
fine too. We only have one tagline. There's a lot of things missing from our cold open today. Not by our own
fault. The humor.
Yeah, right.
That one's by our fault.
Yeah, no, that's never our fault.
The humor is always our fault.
No, there's only one tagline. There's a couple stuff missing because there's a huge background to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So here it is. It's the little things in life that matter. But not when it comes to this movie.
No.
You need a lot more going on for you. Oh my god. Okay, so I don't have a budget reported, but I'm sure there was a budget. There had to be a budget. But the crazy part about this movie is that you had three major players, four if you count Peter Dinklage. You had Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, and Gary Oldman in this film that actually made it to Sundance, and before it went to Sundance, they fired the director, and then they took it to Sundance, and it did not get a theatrical release, and it went straight to DVD and got lost. So that's why I can't seem to find a budget or a gross, because there's no gross for it. It never made the theaters.
Ugh.
Okay? So you have one almost blowjob, two shots of Patricia Arquette's underpants, two scenes with Matthew McConaughey's shirt off, two little people with a big person sex scenes, two little people versus a big person fight, and one drunken breastfeeding with a 4.7 on IMDb and a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 2003's Tiptoes. Let's drop some bombs.
Thanks, Rusty. Say hi to Judgito.
We are so cute and cuddly. Don't discriminate against us.
I don't know your name.
Lobo Miranda.
Lobo? Truly? Outrageous.
I hope you're not a sore loser.
It depends on how hard he spanked me.
Sarah, be my bloody Valentine.
Welcome to Bombs Away, the only podcast recorded inside a projection booth. My name is Jonathan Young. Joining me in the studio, as always, is...
I'm not Kate Beckinsale. I'm Jarrett Seifert.
All right, well...
Just clearing that up.
Yeah, glad we got that. People, for 40-some episodes now, they've been like, is that Kate?
I think it's Kate Beckinsale.
I think after Tiptoes, she just went off the deep end. When are they going to discuss her film? Well, we already did, okay?
Yeah.
We already did Van Helsing last month.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So what's interesting about Tiptoes, and I think I want to start playing it going forward here, is before we dive into this, I did some research, and Tiptoes seems to be the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon of Bombs Away.
Oh, that's so many connections.
So many. Okay, so going right into it, Kate Beckinsale has already been on our show on Van Helsing. Gary Oldman has been on the show in Lost in Space. And then we also have some other actors, some little people actors who have been in tons of things either that we have done or will plan on doing. Debbie Lee Carrington, who plays Matthew McConaughey's little person aunt in the movie. She was an Ewok in Return of the Jedi and both Ewok films, so we'll wind up doing the Ewok films at one point. She was some of the additional ducks in the beginning of Howard the Duck. She was a penguin in Batman Returns, one of the little penguins. Another great film that we'll wind up doing on the show at one point is Mom and Dad Saves the World, starring, the pedophile Jeffrey Jones and Terry Garr and John Lovitz as the space commander. She was in that film. She was a gorilla in Mighty Joe Young.
Hey!
Right? Valerie Vomit in the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Oh. She was Heidi in Captain EO.
Oh.
And she was, her most recognizable, face role was Thumbelina in Total Recall.
Thumbelina.
Yes, her name was Thumbelina. But then we also have Ed Gale, who was Station in Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. He was also in Mom and Dad Save the World. He was Tasha in Land of the Lost, the TV show, and most famously or infamously, two movies. He was Chucky in Child's Play.
Yeah.
Okay. Child's Play 1, 2, and Bride of Chucky. And he was Howard the Duck in Howard the Duck.
We all know you love Howard the Duck.
I do. It's my, it's like forever and ever. And then the director, Matthew Bright, wrote The Forbidden Zone. So, it keeps getting crazier and crazier for this film. And, there's so many connections. But famously, this film, the director, Matthew Bright, was fired after he turned in his cut of the film, and the whole film was re-edited. Peter Dinklage, who... we'll get into Peter in this film, right? We will get into Dinklage.
Oh, I hated it.
That was his accent the whole time. You think this episode and next week's episode, I'm going to be doing horrible accents, and you're going to think you're like, oh my god, he just is doing a horrible version of it. No, it's probably going to be pretty darn close on both because they're really bad. But Peter Dinklage has said the original director's cut, which was screened in Austin, Texas, was, quote, gorgeous. And he said the people who fired Bright ruined the movie. And I don't think that that's possible.
As I was watching it,
Yeah.
I was like, how could you re-edit this film?
You could stop putting things that would normally happen in the second or third act, I don't know, into the first act.
I don't know. It seems like everything is not the climax scene, but
the ending of the movie maybe is more like the second act problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's been established and then they just keep going on. But each scene also is it feels like tension's building, but then it's just kind of never mind. And then it just goes back to what's our problem? Pregnancy? All right.
This movie ends 4 times before it actually ends.
And
then it doesn't feel like it ends in the final, and you're like, that was the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, this movie is on a level of insanity that I have yet to see.
Yeah.
Because usually things that we do, and things that I've seen that we haven't done yet are insane, but insanely fun. And I mentioned this to you before we started, is that there are very few movies that actually have me out loud as we're watching it scream at the television screen.
I wouldn't waste any energy yelling at this film.
I was sitting there going, what is happening? Constantly. What?
I just remember watching the entire movie and being like, it was violently 2003. Violently.
Yep.
Violently.
I know. You used it again.
I do it.
It's fine. No, it was more than...
It's tragically 2003.
Tragically. Yeah. Okay. So, the movie opens up with a credit sequence that also seems very, okay, we're just going to put it out there as we start this. Warning for all you triggered people out there. I'm going to say little people, okay, which is the politically correct,
probably
right?
Gonna mess up.
Right? But I'm going to say midget, because they say midget. I'm going to say dwarf, because they say dwarf, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to go crazy off the rails, okay? So, you want to blame somebody? You blame Tiptoes, okay? Because even the credit sequence is completely politically incorrect. Like, it's a credit sequence which is like, let's have all normal-sized letters except for one big letter that I guess represents Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
So you'll have, like, it'll say Tiptoes, right? And tip T will be all one font size, and then the O will be oversized, and then the ES will be the same size as the rest.
But it didn't even read as, like, one letter larger than the other one. The O just looked like it was really wide.
It was fat.
It was like,
yeah, everything was wider,
like,
not really taller.
I expected this to be a movie, like that's the kind of font they would use for Shallow Hal. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, no.
Yeah.
It didn't add in. But we get our beginning credits. Our first scene is
just two motorcycles racing down the highway, and
well,
you're like, what is this?
Motorcycles.
Yeah, tricycle.
Tricycles. Just 3 tricycles.
Tricycles. Yeah, that's what a tricycle
But it's like
is.
those, like, ugly 3-wheeled cars with, like, 2 wheels in the back and 1 in the front.
Like,
at least they're not the ugly ones that are 2 wheels in the front and 1 in the back. Those are weird.
I thought the one was.
Maybe. They just look really stupid. They're dumb.
They're like, if you... They look like if you were trying to put, like, an action figure in something, and then like, well, you can't put an action figure on a motorcycle; it's not going to balance itself. So, like, you always make tricycles back in the day, and it needs to be, like, really wide to fit that said action figure. But, like, they have like multiple seats on it, and, like, really fat back end that's, like, as wide as a normal car.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. But they just zoom by the camera during the credits sequence, and then it jumps over and
to an ugly painting
that is not even fresh paint. Like, she is painting this thing. Okay, we are established to Kate Beckinsale, right, in this film.
She's different. She's an artist.
Right?
She's got her hair up in a weird, like, messy bun.
She's got weird, random, misplaced tattoos on her back and on her forearm. Like, which also seems like a lot of work for somebody who turns out not to be that edgy.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not her tattoos.
No.
So, like, they apply this forearm tattoo throughout the whole movie that she has to basically, I would assume, sit in a makeup chair every morning that she did this movie to have that on, and the tramp stamp as well. And you're like, okay, well, maybe it's going to apply because her hair is also, like, dyed pink, like, on the ends and things like that. And you're like, oh, she's edgy. She's a painter. All of that goes away almost immediately.
When she tries to give Matthew McConaughey a blowjob.
I'm down for it, but it doesn't happen.
You're down to give Matthew McConaughey a blowjob?
All right. So who's gonna get sucking?
Matthew. Yeah. So it establishes her, and it establishes Matthew McConaughey, and he's like, "Don't get paint on my tie." She's like, "I won't." And he's like, and then she, like, starts to go, like, down on him, and he's like,
Matthew's
"Don't get
in the
paint
room
on
now.
my penis." You're like, okay. And they just kind of, like, chit chat. And she's like, what are you doing? Okay, so they're engaged already, right?
Yes.
But they've never met either one's parents.
Correct.
Ever. He's never talked about his family.
Right. Which is that is believable to me.
No. He lives in the same, like, city. They all
Right.
live in Southern California.
No, I know, but, like, this movie also tries to paint, like, an image of L.A. that
I've never seen before.
Right. Right?
So, like, where is all this taking
It's an
place?
image of L.A. that I've never seen before, but it's also painting an image of, like, these people are, like, kind of in their own world, and so it's almost assumed that, like, it's throwaway if you meet your family or not, whether they're in the same city or not. Why? Because they're L.A. people, you know?
That's so weird.
Yeah. So, and especially, like, I feel like a little person family is more tight-knit.
Well, but then we've got, so throughout this whole movie, there's this, like,
That's to keep warm.
Yeah. Their body heat doesn't last as long.
Oh, man. So, okay.
But throughout the whole movie, we get this whole thing that Matthew McConaughey is, like, ashamed of, like, little people, but At one point in the movie, he also goes, he's like, I'm a little person.
Oh, I'm a dwarf!
I know. You're like,
that's okay.
No,
yeah.
you're not.
Wait, don't.
You're like 6-something, I'm pretty
that
sure.
scene, oh my God. Oh, that's way later. Like, okay, hold on. Yeah, we can't skip that heavy. Because, like, that when we get there, that's where I texted you last night and was like, this movie has gone insanely off the rails.
Yeah.
And it was that. It was, like, all that. Okay? So, yeah, we're established that, like, she's a little kooky, he's a little professional, right? And
But he's not
late.
professional.
No, he's not. He's just a firefighter trainer.
Yeah.
Right? God, those trainers. Like, they're the
He
worst.
trains firefighters to sit in a circle and powwow.
Yeah.
That's all you ever see him do.
Up in the woods somewhere,
and then go to
in the
parties
desert or
and
something.
Want to get a guy's autograph.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
a lot of this movie was extremely forgettable because I was like, it's boring.
I got you though. I got you.
I remember it.
Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
saying like it's nothing to remember.
No, because like
It's so dull.
okay, one, we picked this movie because it's Valentine's month, right? And we're like, oh, let's do like a shitty rom-com, right? This is not a com part of the rom.
I thought at one point they were gonna like someone was gonna murder someone because there is a scene where the music doesn't fit.
Oh God, we're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah.
No,
So
there's multiple scenes where the music doesn't fit. Okay, all right. So she is like, "Do you have to go?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go." And she's like, "Well, what?" And she starts unbuckling his pants. She gets down on her knees. Kate Beckinsale is going to blow somebody in the first scene.
Yeah, I didn't want to see her do that.
I was down.
I mean, I'm down to watch Matthew McConaughey, but
Yeah,
that's just me.
but and
Matthew
he's like,
McConaughey's 6
no.
feet tall.
So like already in the first scene, we're established that these people aren't good for each other, right? And then we jump back over to Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman in the film is playing a little person who also, and I feel like it was only written this way because it's Gary Oldman playing a little person.
Yeah.
That he's a little person with major deformities. Like he has a hunchback and like
One shoulder's
they
higher
were
than
like,
the other.
They were like, well, how do we portray that he's little? Well, we'll shoot him from the waist up at all times and just kind of like T-Rex your arms at all times.
They're like, squat a little bit. We don't know.
Like, this is okay.
Stand on your knees.
This is it. This is the part where it's already insane.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have Gary Oldman, right? Who, like I said, we can date back, like he was True Romance, Lost in Space. Like he'd already been in major blockbuster films.
Did you just call Lost in Space a major blockbuster film?
It was what knocked Titanic out of the first place.
Yeah, but I mean, it was Lost in Space. We covered it.
I know. So, he's already been in major films, right? And I think at this point, if Harry Potter 1 came out in 2000, I think he was also, if I'm not wrong, he was doing part 3 at this point. He became Sirius Black this year. You're Sirius Black on one end, and you're doing this the next. Like,
well, then he's also in stuff like Batman Begins.
Yeah, I don't know exactly know, but that was around this time too.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're gonna
2005
for Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
God.
I think Harry Potter was right around this time though, right? I think
Harry Potter and the Prisoner
Azkaban?
of Azkaban was 2004, so it was the year after.
Okay. But he had to been like making this around because this film was actually released in to DVD, I think, in January of 2004.
You know what he also did?
What?
The Fifth Element video game in 1998.
Gary, we gotta talk, buddy.
Well, I mean, he also was in The Fifth Element in 1997, but I just didn't know that there was a video game. I think that's hilarious.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so then we get Gary Oldman and
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage.
Okay.
They're peeing on the side of the road.
Which Peter at this point wasn't Game of Thrones famous. That's for sure. But he'd been in a couple things. I, for one, like, it's funny. Peter Dinklage, I feel like, is not playing a character other than his accent. I feel like this is Peter Dinklage in real life because, like, I I bumped into him once, and
Once.
yeah, literally bumped into him because I didn't see him. I didn't see him. And I excused myself, and he told me to watch where I'm going.
Oh.
So, I already have a bias towards Peter Dinklage. I was like, what an asshole, right? And then, like, I see him in this, or I see him in Elf, or the small clips that I've seen of Game of Thrones. I'm like, I think he's just playing himself. He's a dick in real life. And I've heard reports of this otherwise. But, like, he's playing this Frenchman, right? I don't understand what his deal is. Like,
I don't understand why he had to be
corporate America. Yeah.
He just kind of like hated all the American values and was like, French is better.
Yeah.
But he also just kind of sounded like a shitty character from Beauty and the Beast.
I like ratatouille. Like, yeah.
Be our guest. Be our guest. That was where you're going. It's like, all right, cool.
Life is so unnerving for a servant who's not serving. Like, you're like, we get it. Like, yeah, but that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's doing this weird accent for no reason, right? And him and Gary Oldman have pulled over their motorcycles, and they're pissing on the side of the road, right? A bus passes by that kicked off Patricia Arquette.
Yeah.
Right? And she...
Some crazy white lady that just got back from her vacation in the Caribbean where they braided her hair.
Yeah. And this film...
Put buka shells in it.
Loves her bush. Like, because it consistently is showing upskirt shots of her.
Yeah.
Consistently. Somebody was like...
creepy.
I love Patricia Arquette. And I'm going to position her in ways that I'm consistently showing her bush.
Wearing, like, short jean skirts, I guess.
Skirts?
Skirts? No, that's a shirt.
Is it? I don't know.
No, it's shorts and a skirt, but I just got... It's a shirt.
So,
so they pee on the side of the road, then they pick up Patricia Arquette, and that's, like, the romance between Peter Dinklage and Patricia Arquette. Totally pointless. There are a few scenes where it's, like, the whole... Okay, so this movie essentially is like a PSA for what little people go through. But it's also trying to like normalize it. Yeah. Because like throughout the movie we get Peter Dinklage being like, oh, my body hurts. I take morphine. I drink morphine with my liquor. And like, God, I should be French.
He really is. My disc, my herniated disc.
So, but he does that throughout the whole film. But then, like, they talk to like a doctor or something, or like Matthew McConaughey is like,
well, no doctors.
Little people have a lot of issues. They have
that part?
organs, but their bodies
sometimes they're internally bleeding.
Yeah, like
you're like, what?
And she's like, don't they have medicine? And he goes, morphine. And it's like, oh no, they can only numb the pain.
Yeah.
And so it's like throughout the movie, it's every single moment just feels like they're just trying to explain like how this is for a little person. Man, but it also it's such a like
this is the I Am Sam of little people. You never go full little people.
Well, this is also like
you just like that's Gary. That's why Gary didn't win. You never go full little.
But this is the oh shoot, I lost what I was gonna say. Oh, this is the most like obnoxious thing because it's basically like a white person being like, someone was racist against me because I'm white, and it's like the movie is essentially just Matthew McConaughey being like, I feel for little people because me too, my family. But
I'm a dwarf. I'm a dwarf.
It's only focusing on Matthew McConaughey, the able-bodied person who's literally like physically fit and a firefighter.
The movie doesn't know what to focus on, though. That's the problem.
So stupid.
Like, you would think that the movie. There's many times when you think the movie is trying to focus on their family unit, which is Kate Beckinsale, Matthew McConaughey, and their eventual marriage and then child.
Yeah.
Right? But then it's like, oh, but also here's Peter Dinklage's love story and his little person problems. And here is also Gary Oldman, who's, I haven't established it yet, but Gary Oldman is playing Matthew McConaughey's twin brother. Okay?
Yeah.
And you'd think, okay, well, maybe it's a story of two twin brothers who are estranged, or something, because of their looks and their differences and their lifestyles.
Nope, they're like super close BFFs, but they never talk.
Right? And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it's the story of Gary Oldman and his like failed relationship with this kind of slutty other little
maybe
person.
He's kind of stubborn. It's like, nope. It turns
it's
out the
not
girl
about
he's
that either.
actually seeing is actually just really terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So they pick up Patricia Arquette and they rent a hotel room. Immediately when they go to the hotel room, the desk clerk just doubles down on insults.
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey,
really kind of like insensitive."
Right? Well, the whole movie is dropping F-bombs like constantly. Yeah. I was like, is this a romance? Like, it is. Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, everybody's like, I don't give a fuck, right? Yeah. And like that's how they're playing it off too. He's like, you wanna sit there and you wanna fucking be like that, then fucking be like that. And you're like, who wrote this? Like somebody in like Little Rock, Arkansas was turned in a script one day and was like, here's my script about midgets.
Well, it's just like lazy writing throughout the whole film, because you get people where it's like, oh, I'm not jaded by my condition because, like, why should I be? And it's like, yeah, okay, that's how you should be. But then they also have the exact opposite of people that are like, I am jaded by my condition because the world hates me.
Well, that is...
You know, there's more than just those two types of people that have some sort of... I don't want to say any word that's going to be inappropriate.
You just say sort of, like, you can't hold back.
I don't want to say disability.
Well, no, because here's the thing is, like, what you described in this
Physical
community...
ailment?
I guess. I don't know. In this community, you do have I guess it's like this on most things that are either disability or minority or whatever. You have two opposite sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You have people that are freaking amazing and awesome and are like, I'm not going to let this get me down. And like, you want to call me midget? That's fine. I'll call myself midget. You know, like super cool, awesome, fun people that like, some of the most fun people I've ever like had the privilege to hang around with, right?
Yeah.
But then you have other people who are like, I feel victimized and judged and attacked and like, you can't call us that and stuff like that. And it's like, we all have
buttholes and poop. Like, that's about it.
We're all human beings. And like, I even say that some words like midget, for example, I don't even think that was, when it was kind of created, was more derogatory. It's not like the N-word, you know? Well, like, I don't think it was but that's the kind of things that we're talking about here, that you do have two opposite sides of the coin, right? And I feel like, and I couldn't find it, I really, really dived deep and was like, did the director or the writer of this film have a sensitive little person relative? And they wrote this film for them? Because that's what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
It's preachy, but it's just all over the place because they don't know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
Right?
Real.
So when you're sitting here going, where are we in this plot? Like, you guys feel all over the place? No, it's this movie.
The movie's all over the place.
It's this movie.
So we get to...
Yes, the desk clerk. That's where I was.
Have they already gone to their party?
Huh?
The party.
Yeah, we'll get back to it because I need to finish the desk clerk so I can get over it.
Oh,
yeah. Because this is why he didn't go to the party.
They showed up to the party late.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
First party. But so Matthew McConaughey goes to a party that his brother's supposed to show up for. They're on their way to. But Matthew McConaughey goes there and he's like doing like pleasantries with everyone. Like, hey, hello, how are you? And like kissing little people on the head, which I was like, I feel like that would be offensive. He's on the dance floor,
like, ha ha ha, big person and a little party, yeah.
And then like, it's like a once a year meetup and hang out,
which these exist.
Yeah,
these are Little People conventions. Something Little People Defense League is what it's called. In the show, yeah, right. In the movie, I don't know if that's what the actual conferences are, but yeah, absolutely, they exist. And they're way bigger than this little hotel. Like, looks like 8-table wedding
like
is what it
a
looks
tiny
like.
meetup.
Oh,
I didn't mean that. No, but it was a very intimate meetup. We'll call it that. And there's like.
And David Allen Grier is just there randomly?
Yeah.
Why is he even in this movie?
Okay, he plays this guy named Jerry Robin Jr. And
Who's basically like Little Richard?
Yeah, with a really bad wig. I was like, that is a shake and go wig.
Yeah.
Like,
But why
doesn't
is he
look good.
Because this is
I
another
don't think
thing
they
that
ever fully
confuses
explained
me.
his character.
Right? This is another thing that confuses me is to think that this is a rom-com.
Well, then that's the same character that at some point someone goes, oh, Jerry Robin Jr., I'm going to go get his autograph.
That's why I think it's like
Why?
Little Richard.
Yeah.
It's like, but they never, ever establish it.
Yeah.
He goes up
All
there.
he does is bone a little.
Huh?
He bones a
Well,
little
yeah,
person.
yeah, but they don't establish that he's famous and that she, like, they only though I'm gonna get an autograph, but you don't know why. Like, it's not really. I don't know. It's never explained properly.
Yeah.
He's just there to introduce some sort of little person award or something. I don't know. They do this stupid sight gag where he has to go up there after the person that introduced him, who's a little person, and he has to raise the microphone up.
But the entire stage is set up for little people because it's like a little person band, like little person announcers, and it's like, ooh.
They're doing big band, but they're little people.
Yeah.
I get it.
Big little bands.
Yeah.
Coming to HBO this fall.
Big little bands. Then Matthew McConaughey is like, oh, I don't know where my brother is. Like, he's late. And he goes outside, and there is Ralph, which is Gary Oldman. And he's like, hey, Ralph, you were late. And they seem to get into a slight argument where you're like, okay, I guess things aren't really good with them. Meanwhile, Peter Dinklage and Patricia Arquette try to go inside, and they're kicked out. And I don't understand why they'd be kicked out.
They get kicked out, and she's like, they accused us of trying to steal food.
Right?
It's like,
he's like,
well,
stupid
like
little people convention!
Yeah, like, I feel
You're
like they
what?
were probably the people that... They look like the people that would walk in and be like, we're just getting some snacks, and then they're like dumping it like into a Tupperware container, and they're like, you need to leave, and then they're like, they're mean to us, we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you kind of just don't.
No, you guys are both like trash. That's because that's how they come off as, right? Like, she already gets off the bus looking like trash, and then like he just he's like French trash.
Yeah,
right.
It really is.
So, yeah, they get upset, and the three of them leave for that hotel. Now, they get to the hotel, and like I was mentioning, the desk clerk doubles down on his insults. First, they're like, we'd like a room, and he like points at his sign that says like no prostitutes, right? So immediately is like, we don't rent to your kind, right? And he's talking to the prostitute, like, well, she's not a prostitute, but like that's the thing is that like he immediately assumes the worst, right? Refusing business.
Which also, come on, sex worker.
Yeah. But then he doubles
We're being
down.
politically correct.
Once they're like, she ain't no prostitute, we just want a room. And he's like, all right, cool. One lady and 2 children, right? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why this guy needs to double down. Like, this place looks like a shithole as it is up on Hollywood Boulevard. And like, I think I know what hotel it was, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it used to be the hotel that they used to paint like really shitty versions of like scenes or actors on the doors themselves. Yeah. It looks like that hotel. And anybody who's been on Hollywood Boulevard, like hotels as you go east, like if it's past the W, you know that it's like a shit hotel. Like, warning, anybody listening not from LA, like don't go past like Vine, I think it is. Is it? Like, that's where the shitty rundown like Hollywood Boulevard hotels are, and it's clearly one of these hotels, right? So like, this guy doesn't have room to pick and choose who he calls prostitute and little people, children.
I was like, you're
just rent the
definitely
room
in Hollywood,
especially when the room is still $90 a night. Like,
yeah. Like, and I thought it was gonna be something that he like throws him a key and the room is like a closet, or like he was just gonna be like, I'll give him the shittiest room, but it doesn't happen. But then they go in the room.
I gave you one twin bed. You should be able to fit.
But they go in the room. Patricia and our good dude or Peter are like making out and kissing and rubbing, and Gary Oldman's like, just don't do it, don't fuck. And then Gary Oldman goes to like take a shower, but Peter Dinklage pours them a drink of morphine and
cider.
Hennessy.
I don't know. Like, yeah,
it's some sort of like hard liquor that's tan. And she's like, "Ugh, goes down smooth." It's like, well, yeah, it's morphine. It's gonna knock you out. Jesus.
Like, I love the
and
taste.
He starts like
and I was
having,
like, I bet you do.
He starts like having stomach pains, and I was like, oh, he's gonna die soon. But then he doesn't. It turns out,
yeah, he doesn't die. Nothing happens.
The movie teaches us that that's actually just problems for little people.
Oh, it teaches it almost immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, because we get a Patricia Arquette and Peter Dinklage sex scene.
Yeah.
Right? And mid-coitus, he's like, oh my God, my back! I cannot breathe! And you're like, what is happening?
That's when he's like holding his spleen and he's like, oh, and she goes, what is it, your back? And he goes, oh, and she goes, well, get off your back. And she just keeps thinking that it's his back, even though he's holding his spleen. She's like, right? Oh my God.
I like right before that, like, because they establish right before they have sex that like he has a bad back as well, and she's like, let me adjust you, and I'm like, you can't
adjust him.
Yeah, she like basically
it just makes me think of
back.
Like that turning wheel like on a hard helmet to make it tighter.
Yeah.
Like, she turns that on his back and he's like click, 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 and like grows 3 inches.
Oh, thank you.
Like, oh, I did not know that was an option.
Thank you for the chiropractor.
I feel so better. I just want to do a French accent now. Just sound like Lumiere.
Yeah, because he does.
Lumiere?
Yeah. So he runs into the bathroom, like vomiting.
He runs to the bathroom.
And she's like, what's happening? And Gary Oldman's like, it's just little people problems. Yeah. Right? And you're like, oh, all right.
All right, cool. Right? He probably is throwing up because he's mixing morphine and alcohol. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Right? Well, little people problems.
Is that scissor?
Huh?
Is that purple drink?
No, that's cough syrup.
Oh, that is. Okay.
Yeah. So,
scissor.
Like, he's like, let's call a doctor. And he's like, no doctors!
Yeah, he gets so mad.
So mad. And I was like, no doctors? Like, what is the problem?
I'm sure that he knows in his life, he's like, it's going to pass, but also, like, it's not killing me. It's just shitty pain.
Right.
He's growing with it. Well, not much, but he, you know.
So, I don't, he's grown now, kind of.
That was the accidental terrible joke again. It's
no, you can't. Okay, we already warned them, so now we can be insensitive. It's fine.
No, you shouldn't be. Anywho, we get to our next scene.
We're too sensitive. We are comedians. Yeah. We can do what we want to say.
So,
it's our show. Okay.
So post-party,
I'm not gonna have a bunch of little people take it over.
All right, stop being so angry. God,
I'm a dwarf.
You know, you're pushing it. You're pushing the limits to dwarf. You get in one bad car accident, and you're gonna be that limit, that height.
No. I already used to do what Gary Oldman used to do as a child, where I'd put shoes onto my knees and walk around.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know you used to.
Yeah. Like, we represent the Lollipop Guild.
Oh yeah.
But so then we get back. Matthew McConaughey has since gone home from the party, and he's crawling into bed with his lover. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Well, I'm pregnant."
Yeah. Well, first, immediately, like she kind of assumes that he's cheating because he doesn't tell her where she's going.
Yeah.
Where he's going, and he comes home late and kind of like sneaks into bed, right? So, and he's like, "Well, you think I'm cheating? Like that's not how I roll." And then she's like, well, we need to talk. And then he, like, adjusts his pillow. And then did he pull out a retainer out of his mouth?
Maybe. I was just distracted because he was in underwear.
Yeah, well, this is one of two scenes where he's like, gotta take off my shirt now.
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
And she's like, let's talk. Now, this is the second scene with these two people.
Yeah.
And it ends with, like, the most awkward, like, fight, kind of. Like, it's not a full-blown fight like they have later, but
well, it's like his secret that's not his secret,
right?
Or it shouldn't even be a secret. Like, comes out because she's sitting there, she's like, hey, I'm pregnant, and he's like, well, the baby could be a little person.
Well, no, he doesn't even reveal it yet because she doesn't find out till she meets Gary Oldman.
So this is when he just gets mad.
So yeah, he's not like his whole thing of why he's mad is like, I thought we were going to talk about this, and she's like, we've talked about it like millions of times.
Oh, and she's also like, he's like, I thought we did it safe, and she was like, yeah, except all those times when you woke me up in the middle of the night when we didn't do it safe, unless you don't remember that. And I thought it was going to be like, oh no, he's sleep fucking. But it turns out he just likes to fuck.
Yeah. he's just worried about his little sperm.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's actually internally
He's
worried
about his little person.
Yes, he's worried about that his little person is going to make little people.
Yeah.
But he's not expressing this, so it's coming off as awkward and weird, and that he's angry that basically it's an unplanned pregnancy.
The movie never really explains why he's so ashamed of his family. Like, he just constantly...
Because first it comes off as that he's worried that his child will be a little person, right?
Yeah.
But then Kate Beckinsale's character adapts that worry and kind of takes it off his shoulders, and he becomes just worried that he's in a little person family in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he gets... Like, it's weird. You'd think that he would harbor that and hold on to it, but no, she grabs that from him, and that becomes her storyline.
She gets over that, like, real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, she has one scene of worrying. So then they get angry. Matthew McConaughey leaves bed. Next, Gary Oldman has left the hotel because he's tired of the other two and goes to his ex's house apartment.
Now, he gets there, and I forget what her name is. She's not very important either. Yeah. But he goes there, and...
she's like, I thought I'd never see you again.
Right? She's like, yeah, we can try again, right? And immediately as she says we can try again, like, another guy like walks in, and he's like... is another person, because, okay, the hotel clerk we didn't mention also has, like, a weird Czech accent for no reason.
Yeah.
Right? But then this guy is a Middle Eastern dialect out of nowhere, right? And she even says that, what was I supposed to do? Like, he got kicked out of his apartment, like, during, like, I don't know, what it was, wherever in Middle Eastern, where, like, the
Gaza Strip.
The Gaza Strip, thank you.
Was it really?
Huh?
I don't know. I was just guessing.
Yeah, no, it was.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
All right.
Right? So I'm like, okay, here comes another guy with an accent, and he is. And I can't do this accent right now. I can't. But, like, here's another thing where you're just like, what is all these crazy accents?
Yeah.
Like, in this movie, right? So he comes in, and this is where he's like, what's another man doing in your room? Speaking about Gary Oldman, and, she's like, he's here because we're gonna fuck, right? Oh. And I was like, what? Like, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is where I wrote down, like, I was like, everybody in this movie makes me feel filthy. Like, their lines, their dialect, their way of dressing, like, everything makes me feel filthy. Like, I'm watching a bunch of trash human beings.
Yeah.
Which is really... horrible to say when we're talking about a movie that's supposed to be bringing light to little people, right? It makes half of them look great, in comparison. Like, when they're just living normal lives, half of them look amazing compared to these other trash humans.
Yeah.
Right?
So then there's a fight, and the guy...
He smacks the shit out of Gary Oldman.
The guy beats Gary Oldman.
Just open palm smacks him in the face.
Which, like, that's my dream to do to someone at some point in life, is just, like, smack the shit out of someone's face.
Open
like,
palm?
Fuck you.
Just like, yeah.
And so then Gary Oldman's idea is to go to his brother's apartment.
Yes.
But his brother's
Without
not
permission,
there. It's his girlfriend that's there, and their front door is a garage door.
Apparently, yes.
So that's pretty cool, I guess.
I can't quite seem to figure out the layout of their apartment either, because in the first scene, it looked like kind of like a artsy studio, like the one that we all want.
Was she just painting her own wall?
No, that was a canvas. It was definitely a canvas, because they do a zoom in, and she is running a dry brush on a dry canvas. So, like, she's not even painting it. Like, there's no additional... Yeah, there's no additional paint being applied. She's like Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters 2. She's just curating. She's just cleaning things. Yeah, I can't quite figure out the layout, because, like, you have that where it's like, here's that fancy, like, lofty ceilings, like, type apartment, right? But then in this, you see that their front door is a garage door.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they go upstairs, it looks like the room from The Room. Yeah. Like, it has a spiral staircase, and, like, it clearly looks like a set now. And so he introduces himself as his twin brother, and she's like, he never told me. And this is when you know, like you said, it was like violently 2013, and everything has to be edgy. Like even her first aid kit is like covered in paint. She's like, even my first aid kit is edgy, like I am.
I'm
covered
different.
in paint.
Everything's different,
right? So after this, she goes. To
she's
Matthew
like,
McConaughey.
you stay here.
Right.
I'm going to go run errands for 5 hours.
Right. And decides to, I guess, like, now that she's met her first little person, decides to put on, like, a hat from Whoville.
Yeah.
It's this, like, black and white striped hat, like, snow cap in the middle of, like, L.A. summer. And then goes to Matthew McConaughey's training field.
In the middle of
the forest, desert kind of area.
Where they are.
Right? And he's already, because of learning pregnancy, I guess. Meanwhile, we've never seen him at the job prior to this, so this could be a normal day for him. But he is drill sergeant abusing people.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you'll never put out a fire. You never put out that fucking dirt.
He's like, you're too fat. You're just fat. You can't run, you fatty fat. And it's like, oh my God. Right? And everyone's like, hey, maybe like calm down. And he's like, he's fat now. I'm like, go stand somewhere else, Matthew.
But
like, okay,
but fat. Yeah.
And then they're like sitting in a circle, and he's like, now the thing about fires. And then his like girlfriend walks up and is like, we need to talk. You have a little person brother, and he's like,
she says midget, and this is where he, for some reason, after we've already established that he's kind of a dick and insensitive about the pregnancy, kind of a dick to his employees, this is where he draws the line. He's like, whoa, baby, you got to say dwarf. Yeah. Right? And you're like, wait, what? Like, that's what I say. Like, all the characters flip-flop. Yeah. Like, there's nothing steady about any of their changes.
Well, now I'm wondering, like, what if the scenes where they have the other like side of themselves is supposed to be a different part, and it was edited when it was supposed to be like a transition for everyone, but then the editing that they did when the director got fired,
where she was the kind of insensitive one, and then their roles switched by the end of the movie.
I don't know, it's just so confusing of a film, and I don't understand anyone's intentions. And I hate it so much because no one actually has any driving factor to do anything that they do. Matthew McConaughey,
including us, to finish this.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, just get through it. I don't know. Get to the dinner.
Get to the wedding.
Yeah,
which is not the end somehow.
No, the wedding's like 2/3 of the way through the movie.
Okay, so
but so she confronts him and she's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, I am part little person and our baby might be too. And then so she leaves and goes back, hangs out with Gary Oldman, and Gary Oldman is like, let's go meet some friends of mine. They're also little piece.
Okay, so this is also where I have to point out that this is now 3 scenes of Beckinsale and McConaughey, and all 3 have ended in some sort of like either negative interaction or fight. And you're like, these two shouldn't be having a baby or together at all.
None of those scenes include a real blowjob.
Yeah, never. I mean, what are we even here for then?
I know. What if Matthew McConaughey throughout this entire movie, though, never wanted a blowjob?
I thought it was called tip blows.
He actually has a little person penis.
Aww. Oh, no, oh, no.
Oh, no, oh, no.
Oh, no.
I'd still touch his body.
Oh. Bongos.
So
now Kate Beckinsale goes back to the house and she talks to Ralph, and which his name's spelled weird. Rolfe. Rolfe.
Like
so like it's weird every time I want to read, because I wrote regular Ralph.
Yeah.
Now this is great because he's sitting on the couch, and it looks like, remember when you used to like make scarecrows like for your front porch? His legs, like, it's clearly Gary Oldman with his lower half stuffed inside of the couch, and then these like legs that look like when you would stuff, like you would tie jeans in a note in a knot at the end of the legs and stuff like newspaper in them.
Jesus. Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like, just 2 legs hanging off the side of the couch. And she starts questioning him
well, doesn't he have a phone call with his...
Oh, that's right. He's talking to the slutty little person that he broke up with.
And he's like yelling at her. He's like, "You're a slut, bitch. Fuck you, shit, piss." Like every
Once
bad
again,
word under the sun.
trash human beings.
Yeah.
Like, and we walk in on this, and so does she.
But it's like, he's like, "Hold on, 5 more bad words." And then he's like, "Now I'll stop." And he's like, "Bye." And they start chit-chatting. And she's like, "Possible little person baby." And he's like... Yeah.
And so he's like, let's go on an adventure. I'm going to take you, because he says he's going to take her to a specialist, but it turns out that the specialist is just his uncle. Mm-hmm. So he goes over his uncle's house, and his uncle and his aunt and their children, they're all little people, right? And immediately her fears of having a little person child and everything within one conversation are just gone.
Yeah.
She's like, I have a little person family now.
I understand it.
Right? All because they just have a conversation of basically being like, whoever you are, like, you have to deal with life's problems as they come, and you're going to be fine. We're all fine. We all had multiple children, even though we knew the risks and everything else. Yeah. And then Gary Oldman does like one final like line of something like, we're all here or something, and everybody's like, ha 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 ha, right? And then it just ends.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, all right. Then, so that's learning lesson number 1, I guess.
Is the party after this?
Pretty much. Yeah. So basically, she goes back and tells him, I met your family, right?
Oh, and I'm going to the party tonight.
Yes,
as well.
And you should
come Matthew McConaughey is like, okay, and turns around and invites like...
Oh, no, that's right. This is where it gets super dark and creepy out of nowhere.
Oh.
Okay.
And it's like this like...
So it's a phone conversation, right? And like, yeah, it's like...
creepy music. Like something bad. And it's Matthew McConaughey like in a dark room, and he's like...
No, he's in the desert in the dark because he didn't leave. They had a fight.
Oh,
he didn't
and all
leave.
it does is shows close up of Kate Beckinsale's face.
So it's an extreme close up of her.
And she's like, I just wanted to die.
Like, we're talking about like the camera, the lower end of the camera is like cut off half her nose, and then like it's just her eyeball and cheek and nose.
And she's talking like
phone.
She's trying to be seductive, but she's also possessed. And she's like, I think I'll see you tomorrow at the party.
He is on the other end, distracted. Like, he's like, yeah, baby, yeah. Yeah. So, whatever you want to do.
And I expected
you know what? He goes, I gotta go. Right?
I expected it to like zoom out from her, and she's like fucking his brother, or it like goes back to him, and he's like burying a body, like
because he hangs up the phone, chucks it into the desert.
Yeah.
And then
desert.
It
sounded like you said desert.
Whatever, Jared.
Jugs it into the desert.
My T's do not come off as T's. Okay, whatever.
No one's do. Fix it, America.
Yeah. So chucks his cell phone into the desert, and then a woman pops into like the light from the darkness behind him.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Everything all right?" He's like, "Yeah." You want to go to a party with me? And you're like, oh, he's cheating, right? Because you immediately think he's cheating, but then he's like gonna double down on the cheat and bring her to the party too, and just like, I don't know, right? I'm like, is he trying to like force an emotional abortion? Like, it's just like, I don't understand, because that's another thing. This movie plays heavily on being like, 'cause she even says it. She's like, I'm not one of those like pro-life like crazy people, right? And you're like, what are we talking about?
Well, she's in that instance, she's like, oh, I'm not pro-life, so she doesn't mind abortions, but she also wants to keep the baby in this instance. Do it, but I don't want to right now.
Meanwhile, like I said, chucks the phone in the desert, has this woman, which you don't really recognize is like another trainer or something, right? It was just another random woman in the desert. You don't realize it until she's at the party. The next scene, you're like, oh, it's that chick.
Well, then also in the next scene at this party, it's like he invited everyone in his squad.
Yeah, right?
And this is when she's like,
I think this was 2 different movies.
And she like walks over and is like, I need an autograph. And then you never see her or anyone else ever again.
Right? But in this moment, because of the music, right, it's like, dun-dun, right? You're like, all right. Like,
it's like
shit's gonna go down. Ooh,
or planning to,
right? keep digging, you fat fuck. Like it's just crying.
So then, we're at this party, and this party doesn't serve much of a purpose.
It's just a little people party. Like, they didn't just have one the week before.
It's like Peter Dinklage gets in an argument with his uncle and is kind of a dick still.
This is also where, like, I feel like, hey, you like my hair in that? Do that. Because her hair is the same, like, double bun, like, kind of, like, thing that he had going on in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, God.
And, like...
Bram Stoker. You said Bram?
I said Bram Stoker.
It sounded like Brim Stroker. Rim Stroker.
Whatever. Come on. Like, we got to get through this. You can't correct me the whole time. So, this is another... so, Peter Dinklage is like... fuck you bourgeois, like, Americans, right? And you're like, what the fuck are you doing at this party in the first place? Like, clearly nobody liked you the first time, and there you are. And he's like, and they start talking about, they start bringing up World War II, and they're like, we saved your ass. And I'm like,
they're just like,
this is such a white trash argument, too.
It was so stupid. Like, it was like,
It goes, all now you want to talk about the war?
Yeah. And then there's like American food. He's like, y'all food disgusting. And he hits a tray of meatballs. And I was like, that's Italian. Like, you idiot.
Then Gary Oldman, like, which is still weird when the actor himself is a normal sized person, is like forcibly throwing around a little person, like, you know. So like, I'm like, well, he's overpowering him because he has normal human arms.
But the other thing in this scene is normal human arms. The other thing in this scene is Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale are standing over to the side like, arguments, they're funny, but it's like they're about to literally stab each other. Is like where this argument is going.
All 3 out of the 4 normal-sized people at this party are watching this fight, and it cuts back to each one of them, and they're like, that's interesting. Like, they're not even awkward. Yeah. They're just like, as if it was just an alternate shot that they got for something else, like coverage. And they're like, just cut to them. So they cut to Patricia Arquette. She's like, that was weird. And then they cut to McConaughey and Beckinsale, and they're just sipping a drink, being like, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
And so, meanwhile, Gary Oldman's slutty girlfriend...
Well, no, Gary Oldman's like, where's my girlfriend? Right. I want to chit-chat with her. And they're like, I think I saw her walk over there.
We didn't see a scene where they got back together.
Yeah.
So you don't know that they are, because, like, I thought he kind of overreacted in this part because I didn't know that they were back together.
Yeah.
Right? So he's looking for her. Matthew McConaughey walks in on her, and David Allen Grier...
Going to town in a glass room. In the middle of this party.
Well, they're like, it's okay.
Literally in the middle of the party. It's like the all-glass pool house. And it's like they're all in the backyard around this pool. It's like one of those classic, air quote, like Hollywood movie parties.
Yeah.
And then, so he walks in, opens the door that they left unlocked like idiots.
Yeah.
And then turns the lights on. And they're like, oh, that's not good. And everyone outside of the glass hut is just still dancing. I'm like, you didn't think anyone was going to like press their face on the glass and be like, hey, who you fucking?
Well, it was the 3-foot bush. They couldn't see over it.
Yep.
So immediately, McConaughey. I don't know if Oldman sees it or not. I don't know, but some forces him to like go outside, and then him and Matthew McConaughey have a talk where he's like, "Man, that was a fucked up thing to do," and you're like, can we stop using the F word?
I know.
Like during these like what are supposed to be intimate scenes between characters, like to establish that they care about each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because this is where they seem to make amends. Where he's like, "You're still my brother. I love you," and he's like, "Yeah, it was a fucked up thing to do. I really fucking hate her." Right? And you're like, "What? What is happening?" Right? And that's it. That's the end of that. Right? So once again, another thing that seems like it would be end of second act fight.
Yeah.
So we've had like 4 or 5 of these end of second act fights, right? Things that would normally split 2 characters apart before the third act when they come back together, right?
This is probably like halfway through the movie.
40 minutes in tops.
Yeah.
Right?
Because then we go to dinner at Matthew McConaughey's parents, right? Or no, we have a cut scene of Peter Dinklage in the park with Patricia Arquette.
So basically,
where are we? What's
after
happening?
this,
who's here?
this is where I love this scene. We're having another shirtless bedroom scene with Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah.
And now their levels of intensity go all over the spectrum in this scene. So first, she's questioning. This is where you brought up. It's like, oh, do they need medication and things like that? And he's like, yeah, morphine. It's because their little body intestines always hurt, right? And you're like, wow, we're getting a full like little person education halfway through this movie.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the education probably should have came earlier, right? But okay, whatever, right? And then she goes on to like, and she's legitimately kind of turned on by it, right? And she's like,
oh, and they're chit chatting, and
she's
he's like,
did you ever have like sexual relations with a little person?
And
he's like, you know, other than playing like doctor when I was like 12, like
he's like,
never...
we all got together, and she's like,
right?
A circle jerk with little people?
Yes.
That's something I'd love to see. And I was like, oh god, that is a porn.
She is legitimately turned on by it. That's exactly what she says. You had a circle jerk with little people? I'd love to see that. God. Right? And then they like make out and flirt, and then immediately they making out and the piano music is playing, and you're like, oh, we're about to have a love scene. And then out of nowhere the music turns dark like a Showtime like original thriller, right? And then they have this whole thing where she's like, you need to get help.
Yeah, she's like, oh, that's cute, haha. Hey, you ever talk to a therapist?
Yeah, right.
And he's like, you want me to see a shrink?
It's like, and the music just goes from like na 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 to dun dun na 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 na. You're like, wait, what? Like, I really wish I had prepared the clips, but mind you also that, folks, this was an extremely hard film to find.
God, yeah, it was. It made me so mad. I gave up, and I was like,
So-
Jonathan, find it for me. I was so helpless.
It was extremely hard to
do.
find. So, like, I don't have any audio clips, like, right here, right now. But if you go on the website, like, they're all going to be there. I promise I'll get them up eventually.
Someday.
Like, yeah. Well, so... that's another part of this movie that's a problem, is the music does not properly convey what is happening or will happen.
Yeah.
It makes you... It's a bunch of red herrings, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, shit, he needs help. Okay, cool. Like, all right, maybe you'll get that help.
I thought he was going to get it.
Nope.
No.
Right? You'd think he'd go to maybe a little person therapist, right? Who's like, oh, and our time's up. He's like, wait, it's only been 30 minutes. He's like, well, I'm a little person therapist.
Time's short.
Zing. And so then after this, they have, yes, this is the parental meeting.
Yeah.
Parental dinner.
So
Why would you not prepare your parents? All right? If you already were unprepared and the shock hit you within the same week or so, right?
So
why would you not do that for your parents to get them ready?
It's a very tension-heavy scene that, like...
From a weird, paranoid, probably needs psychotics mother.
From, like,
it's
the start of the scene to the end of the scene, and it's not that heavy. And so parents walk in, and they're like, you didn't tell us. But then, like, the dad's fine. The dad just keeps moving on. The mom, like, looks constantly stressed. They're eating dinner. They're like, haha, drink more. The dad's like, okay, because he looks like an alcoholic. Yeah. And then the...
Because we're both Navy folks.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, like,
him
the
and McConaughey were both in the Navy. And that's where McConaughey learned how to be a firefighter from the Navy.
And he's like, I train people to fight fires instead of fighting them myself.
Right?
Like, what? No.
Usually I would just throw the fire in the water.
So then... grab that fire. Put it in the water.
Come on, fatty, go!
Yeah.
Right?
Run faster, you're fat.
We also realized why she likes McConaughey, because her dad is the same way.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
just a drunken, loud asshole.
So they're all sitting at dinner. The mom, oh my gosh, Kate Beckinsale's mom is like,
is like a shaking chihuahua through the whole meeting, right?
Not eating her food at all. And then Matthew McConaughey's mom is like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, sorry, I have to say this.
It
husband
has to be
say
said
it for me.
Yeah, right.
And I was like,
and you're like, oh no, because he's drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like,
and so like Kate Beckinsale is like, Mom, please, no, stop, don't, right? And you're like, oh, shit, like they're about to have like
and
a
everyone's
prejudice.
like, oh, God, this is going to be the most horrible thing
This
we've
is going
ever
to be the
heard.
most prejudiced thing towards little people that we've heard so far, right? But then the movie, like, the father decides to go, well, see, her grandfather is kind of on his deathbed, so, like, we need to have a Jewish wedding if he's still alive.
Jewish wedding.
Right? And they're like, I hope everybody's okay with that. And
like,
everybody's like relieved, like, oh, God, I thought you were going to say we weren't cool with you being tiny.
And they're like, oh, good.
Right?
And then Gary Oldman, like, to end the scene, Gary Oldman goes, well, if he dies, can we go back to a Christian wedding?
Right?
Cuts to the wedding.
Cuts to the wedding, right? The wedding in which you would think, usually in a rom-com or even just a romantic movie, the wedding is the end, right? It's like everything's resolved, two families became one, everything's great. No, right? Because what this movie should have been about is dealing with two families from completely different sides of the coin, right? And been very much like Meet the Parents or anything else in this. It should have been a rom-com. Like, it should have been something taken a little lighter, because this is where the ending would have been, where it's like, it's okay, like, we'll show the wedding.
We'll get through our differences together.
We'll show the wedding, and then we'll show the birth, and then we see that the birth is a little person, and they're like, it's okay, because we'll love this child for who it is, roll credits. And it would have been a really cute, funny thing, right? And instead, like, you have this wedding, this Jewish wedding that happens. There's like 10 people there top, so I don't know what the big deal about the Orthodox Jew thing was.
I was like, just have this one as a fake wedding and then go get real married.
Right? And part of me said that I feel like there's only 10 people there because these are trash humans.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody wanted to come. And then, but you have Peter Dinklage, because we've jumped back to him for no reason. And he's got dreadlocks like Patricia Arquette has had through the whole
braids,
movie.
like they went to the Caribbean.
Something. I don't know.
It's like tightly braided.
But either way, they're laying on a blanket outside of the wedding, right?
Yeah, watching the whole thing going on.
Right? And he's like, you do not need a wedding for love, right? And you're like, what is happening? One, why aren't you at the wedding? Like, you're allowed to sit off to the side on a blanket?
Well, it was in like a public park. And it also, like, it wasn't like Gary Oldman and Peter Dinklage were close, but also Matthew McConaughey probably hates Peter Dinklage.
I guess so, but, like, then why were you, like, it isn't like
stalking. They're
right?
Like,
it isn't like when somebody dies and you're not allowed at the wedding, so you like go like 5 gravestones over, under a tree. It wasn't one of those things like in a movie.
It was like laying on a scarf that his girlfriend threw down.
They're within an earshot.
Yeah,
like they can hear them be like, "Fuck love."
Well, then it's like I feel like it's that whole character, an obnoxious person, that's like gonna try and shit on everyone else's parade because like they don't have a parade of their own. So it's Peter Dinklage sitting there like, love is stupid and I'm still here watching it because I wasn't invited. And it's like, that's why you weren't invited, because no one wants you there, but you still showed up anyway. Be a little introspective, you dummy.
Yeah. Okay, so
I
at this
called
point,
him a big dummy, but that'd be
at this point I paused it, right? Because like I said, weddings are usually how it wraps up. And to me, I knew this film, it felt long, like in just its process, but I instinctively also knew, I was like, we're only like an hour in. Is this like a Lifetime movie? So I paused it, and we still had a half an hour left.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a quick half hour, though.
Yes. Things go by at breakneck speed for the rest of this.
Baby.
Right? So
Baby trouble.
Immediately, right after the wedding, we go, and the baby has been born. And their doctor walks in.
And their doctor's a little person.
It's a little person, too.
I was like, they just cast everyone on the book.
Right? Because little people doctors are the only people that know about little people, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So...
And, like, the wife is like, I read all the books. And Matthew McConaughey was like, I told you not to read. And he's, like, so mad at her for reading.
And the doctor basically goes, so...
He's like, you're going to be fine. Your husband's
He's like, you're going to be fine. We'll administer, like, drugs, and eventually you guys will get used to it, and you'll be able to, how do I put it? Like, eventually administer the drugs yourself, right? Cut to McConaughey smashing a door.
Punches the shit out of a door. And I was like, well, good thing you're in the hospital.
Just smash, right?
That's what I want him to do to me.
And I was like, oh, jeez.
Smash. Matthew.
One thing I don't like about high school kids, I keep getting taller. They keep getting smaller.
Cool.
Shut. You don't even know the movie, do you?
I don't.
Yeah, damn it. I give you a fire
Is
stick
it Back
to watch
to the Future?
movies. No, it's God damn it.
A Walk to Remember?
No, it's not.
The Green Mile.
No, I'm not even. No, you go figure it out now.
I won't.
Okay?
Thank
How
you.
about that? All right.
Thank you for the homework, but I don't want it.
Fine, whatever. People listen to movies.
I've watched
what I was talking
3
about.
movies today.
All right, fine.
I don't need to watch it.
That's
for
nice.
It. Actually, I probably will watch it.
You're watching
for it.
shitty Netflix movies
Okay, that one was
constantly.
good. And I did watch a really bad one the other day, though.
Yeah,
So.
didn't we all? Thanks, Super Bowl.
We did. The Super Bowl lied to us.
Thanks,
that
Chloe.
was stupid.
Fuck you, JJ.
You liked it at first. You even said
No,
it.
no,
You were
no,
like,
no.
It was pretty good. And no.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Tangent.
No,
Here we go.
This will be on the shorties. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Basically, my defense was that it was good if it was its own movie and not attached to Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's everyone's thing.
Yeah.
But there's more to it. Anywho, they have the baby. Matthew McConaughey freaks out, and then it flashes over to them like 10 months at home after the baby's born.
Because this is 3 scenes in a row now that are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That literally fade out like we're going to commercial. So he walks out, and then walks back in, and it's like, can I hold my son? Holds the son, right? And he looks like he just got like punched in the face.
And also, though, Kate Beckinsale in this scene is like, I don't want you to hold my son because you might kill him.
Because the music is doing this, right? The music is like one long, low note, like, duh, right? And like he's just holding it, and he's looking sweaty, looks like he just got punched in the face, and he's like looking at the son like, you're gonna put a pillow over this kid, right? Because that's what it's betraying, that he's just punched a wall. He's going off the deep end, right? We said that he needed a psychiatrist, and we didn't see him get a psychiatrist. Yeah. Like, I went, they're gonna kill a little person in this film.
Not just a little person,
a little infant,
a little person baby,
a little infant,
a little baby.
And then it switches over to 10 months later, and the baby is just full on crying.
And Kate Beckinsale's like, the baby's been crying for 2 hours, and Matthew McConaughey's like, I've been crying for 3. Like, he's just like, his character's like one up a baby is like what he's always trying to do in this movie.
This is where he finally, she's like, and I don't know what to do and stuff like that. And he's like, just say it. Not once in 10 months you've ever said it. You haven't said his condition. Say his condition. He's a dwarf. And I'm a dwarf. A dwarf. Say it. Say it.
You're so loud, and I feel like I just need to whisper.
And
I don't like yelling.
But no, because that's what he's doing.
He does do that.
He is, and he's yelling,
hear it up close.
and they're yelling. They walk into another room off screen and are yelling, and we're just watching an empty room, as if we literally were people in the room, and they decided to fight in another room, and was like, let's take in the other room so they don't hear. But you're like, but he's yelling. I hear. 'Cause
we know.
And then he walks out, sits on the spiral staircase, and then goes, I think it'd be better if I just wasn't here. Because at first I thought, because I couldn't really understand him, he was proposing that they give the child up for adoption.
I thought he was doing that too. I was like, that's kind of not nice, but, you know.
But instead, he's like, I think it'd be better if I wasn't here. And I'm like, yes, because you're a psychopath, but no, because when is it ever better for a single mother, especially a single mother with a child with problems?
Yeah.
Right?
But instead, Kate Beckinsale leaves. She's like,
which doesn't make any sense either.
And she goes up to like the cabin's family, the wood.
So Gary Oldman
just had a stroke.
Gary Oldman says he has a family
cabin in the woods.
Meanwhile, right before this, I forgot to mention that she had a very you're an amazing human being conversation at the end of the wedding after they left. and kissed him square on the lips.
She's like, "How you doing?" Mwah.
Right? Like, not a cheek peck or anything, like square on the lips.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so like that's already there where you're like, that was odd, right?
Yeah.
And he mentions in this scene that she's like, what are you going to do now? Like, once again, the wedding feels like the end of the movie. Like, what are you going to do now? And he's like, well, maybe vacation up in the cabin, in the woods.
Well, he was
right?
like, oh, I'm going to go up to Big Bear at the family cabin, and I'm going to get some riding done. And she goes, oh, right, you're a rider. And I was like,
know he was.
Oh, he is? Cool. Thank you, movie,
I thought you
for
said
including
rider
me.
because he was on a motorcycle. So she just shows up there and is like, I left him. I hope it's okay that I just showed up. And he's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, right?
Yeah, take a seat, pop a squat, take
so
my
Gary
room.
Oldman is living with Peter Dinklage and Patricia Arquette still.
And
right?
apparently Patricia Arquette and Peter Dinklage are on the rocks constantly, which I did not get throughout the movie.
Nope, now they're on the rocks.
Yeah. And then at one point, Gary Oldman's like, oh, yeah, they fight all the time. They shouldn't be together. And I was like, what? When did they fight all the time?
No idea, right?
Yeah.
So then they
gets
get
drunk
into
and
one final
breastfeeds.
fight and they leave. He's like, go home, go wherever you want, you fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Right? And Patricia Arquette leaves. You don't really see Peter Dinklage leave, but because you don't see them leave. They're fighting off camera as well.
Like at night, and Kate Beckinsale's trying to sleep. And she's
Yeah.
like, ugh, my upstairs neighbors are so loud.
Go ahead, take the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Right?
Leave my pedal adjustments.
And Gary Oldman goes upstairs and like kidnaps the kid.
Yeah.
Like not really kidnaps,
No.
but like
He's like, well, he's crying, so I was going to hold him.
Yep, takes the kid, brings it back downstairs, and she's like, "Where?" Like wakes up and is not in panic, but is like, "Where's my baby?" Like, what the fuck?
Where did
Goes
I leave
downstairs,
the baby?
sees that he's an adoring uncle.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, "I thought you needed rest, so you should get some rest." She's like, "You sure?" "Yeah." "Okay, cool." Next day, McConaughey shows up, right? And another pointless scene where she's like, "You're not better. You're not fixed." Like,
he's like, I'm trying.
Yeah. And she's like, "I don't think you should be here." And he's like, "All right, I'm just going to say goodbye to my son." Right? End of this movie.
Vincent.
Right? Vincent.
Their dwarf son, Vincent.
So he says goodbye, and then, like, he's like, "I still love you. You're my brother," to Gary Oldman, and then leaves. And then they have, like, an outdoor, like, nighttime, like, fire where they're, like, looking at the stars, right? And the tension is palpable, right? And they're looking at the stars, and he says something about the stars, I forget, but then she goes, because it doesn't,
Yeah.
like, I forgot what he said, because, get ready for it, folks. They look at the stars, he says something cute about the stars, she turns to him, she goes, "Ralph, you can kiss me if you want." They kiss, and the credits roll. The end.
I just don't get it.
The end. What happened?
Also, no one ever stands on their tiptoes. Why the fuck is it named Tiptoes?
That had to sink in for a
There's
second.
no reason for this to be called Tiptoes. It's
No.
not like he's dating a little person and the little person has to stand on their tiptoes. Or
No.
like there's a bunch of counters and they can't reach them, so they stand on their tiptoes. Like they're not tiptoeing around
bunch of
any
counters.
situation either. They're not like,
No, they're laying it
talk
on
lightly.
heavy.
They're like, the baby dwarf, me too. Bah! Like it's the movie title doesn't make any sense, and that's like the least of the movies.
Well, that's funny that you mention this because I wanted to start a new bit today.
Oh, God.
I don't have a real title for it, which is appropriate and ironic because like alternate titles for this film.
Oh,
I had one. It's not the size of the actor, but how you use them.
alternate titles or taglines? 'Cause
Well,
that was
either
bad.
one really, but you didn't like it?
Big Trouble, Little Lives,
Oh,
or Big Trouble in Little Lives.
okay.
This is all. This is. I didn't know this is coming. So
I know.
This is just me thinking.
This is full
fun.
improv.
I love it.
Let's see. So,
Little People, Big Problems.
Game of Toes.
Oh.
All height, all height, all height.
That kind of sounds like a Hitler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That one kind of sounds anti-Semitic. Not just terrible.
Yeah.
Step stool would have been like the same. People would have been like, step stool? Do they need to use one? What's going on? Step stool like is the same exact title as Tiptoes.
Step stool.
They could have named this movie Step Stool, and people would have been like, all right.
So there's our alternate titles for it.
Rework.
I have one 5-star review. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Give Me 5. That's how I'm going to call it. What? Can you think of anything? Go ahead. Think of it. Okay. I'm over here trying to create gold. You're ever just making fun of me all day. That's fine. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I only found really one. What's unfortunate about this film is we didn't know that a couple other podcasts have done it already, as well as Daniel Tosh apparently did 40 minutes on it.
Jesus.
And so a lot of people came to Amazon and IMDb after those and reviewed it with those things in mind. So they're giving 5-star reviews on how bad it is. And the point being is that I want somebody who genuinely loves this film when I find one. So it was very hard to find one that wasn't, like, tongue-in-cheek about it, right?
Yeah.
So I found one, though, dated from August 2004, so about a couple months after it was released on DVD. So I'd say that this is pretty genuine. Okay? This is from reviewer The Wood on IMDb. It is very rare that I write comments for films anymore, but after witnessing the wonderful Tiptoes and reading all the negative feedback, I felt inclined. The movie is never played for laughs. That's an understatement. As I originally thought it would be. Instead, Tiptoes has got to be the most honest look at the life of dwarves I've ever seen. Yeah. The film examines the serious subject matter of, if you knew your child was going to be a dwarf, would you still want to have it?
That's not the plot of this movie. No. You big dumb idiot.
Would you still love it? Gary Oldman, in parentheses, the finest working actor in films today,
he's good,
gives an amazing performance as the title character. His work here should have earned him an Oscar.
No.
Yes, Gary plays a dwarf, but it's an honest performance, not just a gimmick.
It is.
Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale, quite frankly, have never been better. Peter Dinklage has got to be given props for turning a nothing role into something special.
No, he used too many props.
I love this movie. Ignore the bad buzz and enjoy the fine, misunderstood American masterpiece.
Don't listen to them.
10 out of 10.
Lies.
Yep. You're like a peanut gallery.
I know.
That whole one. And it's what's funny is
this is what I'm gonna start doing.
What's funny about it is that
I just love
it was written in a way that he knew you would exist.
Yeah.
Because like you don't know. Yes. So yeah, that's Tiptoes.
God.
Holy hell.
What are your W's?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Tell me, please.
I forgot we have W's still.
Yeah.
I'm phasing out W's.
I love them. Well, I mean, they're generally the same thing, but this one, honestly,
what's interesting?
Buy it, throw it in the trash.
Yeah,
where you should see it go.
Where you should see it. I mean, good luck trying to.
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like it was hard.
You
you can buy a DVD. And you can rent it on Amazon, apparently.
Or
we didn't
iTunes,
want to pay for it.
The cheapest place to rent it was on YouTube, actually.
Yes.
$2.99?
It's weird. Okay, so it's not... Because I read a couple reviews that were like, this is the next The Room. And I'm like, not really.
Because the acting isn't bad.
No, it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? And the plot is all over the place. And that's the difference. Like The Room, and it's something I don't ever really want to do The Room because it's been done so many times at this point.
Yeah.
But to make a statement about it, The Room gets on a level of being so ridiculous that it's fun to watch with an audience. I would not screen this for an audience. Like, because
people would get bored. They wouldn't want to pay attention. There's nothing to interact with.
No, because like Oldman's performance, and that's where I thought it was going to get really off the rails. Oldman's performance as a little person never goes over the top ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, he never like falls flat on his face because he's crippled and can't walk properly, and like it's never played like serious but like too jokey or hokey, right? So the guy who did that review, he's right about that. It's like it's never played like to the ridiculous point that if it was, then we'd be on a whole nother realm of talking about this. So like I can't, so many people are like, oh, watch it because like people like us and other podcasts and things have like torn this apart. Well, yeah, we have, but just listen to us
we tear apart a lot of things.
Like this isn't, I can't say watch it.
Yeah.
Like I just can't.
Same.
Like it was brutally just painful.
One thing I want to know, because I noticed this on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
It said that the cut of the film was 90 minutes, but the French cut was 91 minutes.
Well, that was that 1 minute of more Dinklage that made it a masterpiece.
They were like, shit on America more, the French la vie.
There was just one scene.
Yeah. They were like, woo.
He just comes out at the end, like Porky Pig, like out of the scring is like, this was a ridiculous movie, and you fell for it. And you're like, oh, shit. He's like basically Jodorowsky does like on the Holy Mountain where like, have you ever seen that? Another crazy.
What do you think?
This movie, a crazy movie where Jodorowsky, like you're just watching these crazy scenes of imagery and you're just like, what is happening? What is going on? The whole movie, right? And then the last thing is them sitting around like very much like a Stonehenge table, right? And they're saying something crazy weird. And at this point, you're like, I've been watching an hour and a half of the most insane shit I've ever seen. Like
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Crazier, way crazier. We're talking about like there's skinned dogs on poles that are marching through a street in a parade.
Okay, you should really watch The Ritual on Netflix.
Okay,
because I watched it today and
there's crazy things, right? But then Jodorowsky, who's in the film, like he's directing, but he's also like the main thing in the film.
Jodorowsky, that's a Star Wars character.
No, stop. Like, just let me get through it. Turns to the camera, right, and goes, you're living a lie. You're like, this movie is crazy. This movie is ridiculous. And like pans out and it shows like the people filming the film and everything. And it breaks the fourth wall. And you're like, fuck you. Fuck this movie. Fuck everything.
No,
like,
I don't like that.
Right? And that's that's the extra minute of Tiptoes where Peter Dinklage is like, fuck you, America, for falling for this stupid piece of shit movie. Really and you're like, oh.
Now it makes sense.
Right? And McConaughey's there, and he's like, ha, ha, ha. Right? At least all three of them. Gary Oldman stands up off his knees.
He's like, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Right? They're like, ha, ha. Like, that's what I want to know as we wrap this up. Did the director take each one of their, like, family members hostage and was like, you have to do this movie?
Yeah.
Like, because, like I said, all of them are pre-established prior to this movie. Who would sign on with this script?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that just about does it for us at Bombs Away here. You know that you know the drill. You know, like, comment, review, subscribe, all on iTunes. Make sure that you follow us Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Bombs Away Show. You can write to us, contact at Bombs Away Show. If you had more to say about this film, we'd love to hear your opinion on it. Also, make sure that you check out www.bombsawayshow.com for more clips, information, all sorts of goodies for every episode we've ever done. Should be up by now.
Little treat.
Like, as I'm talking to you about this, I'm building it, but by the time it comes out, No, I'm going to launch it March 1st. Sorry, folks. Yeah. It's like, I forgot where
little
I was.
Teaser.
We're only 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
Little teaser, though. Yes, Bombs Away Show.
Sorry.
Yeah.
A little teaser.
Yep. BombsAwayShow.com is coming, and it's going to have all the clips that you'd find on Instagram. It's going to have an ability for you to vote during March Madness. Vote for the movies that you want to come and play in in the month of April, but we're going to vote in March. Way more like extended clips that because I can only show about a minute on Instagram, so like extended versions of the same clips, more synopsis. Basically, it's your one-stop shop for everything bad movies is how we're portraying this. So it's like the IMDb of bad movies according to us, right? So that's bombsawayshow.com. Be sure to look out for that. We will announce exactly when it happens on our Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to know the day that you can check out all the clips and everything from the past episodes and everything going forward, you need to be following us on Facebook and Instagram because that's where we're going to announce it first. And then obviously whenever that next episode comes out. So that's it. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for joining us for, God, this is what, 43 episodes now? Like, it's getting, we're almost there at 50. And they say, if you're 50 episodes into a podcast, you're in for the long run. So we're almost there.
Woo.
So we're going to quit at 49.
Yeah.
And
I quit at 30.
I know.
I just keep showing up.
So that was somewhere around Thanksgiving. You're like, I'm done.
I was like, shit.
So... yeah, that just about does it for us. Thank you for listening, guys. We love all the feedback. Make sure that you tune into the Shorties episodes if you want to be shouted out. That's where we shout people out for the most part. Sometimes we make a joke to somebody, as it pertains to the movie that we're doing, but Shorties are the way, if you've talked to us in the past month since the last Shorties, you're probably going to get mentioned in the future Shorties. Yeah. So look out for your shout out. And that just about does it for me. I'm Jonathan.
I'm not Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, yay! Finally, we've confirmed it. All right, Jarrett. See you later.
Bye.
Do not discriminate against us.
Bon oui.
We are so cute and cuddly. I'm a dwarf. Hey guys, John here from the Bombs Away podcast, and I'm here to talk to you about the place where we record. That's right, the Frida Cinema. What is the Frida Cinema? Well, it's a program of the Long Beach Cinematheque here in California, and it serves Santa Ana and neighboring communities as a non-profit art house cinema dedicated to enriching, connecting, and educating communities through the art of cinema. But it's so much more than that. Guys, not only do they screen amazing films here, but they also hold out-of-this-world special events. And when we're talking about special events, we're talking about shadow casting. Shadow casting, if you don't know, is where actors perform in front of the movie that you're seeing, and they have costumes, and they're doing audience participation, and it is just an amazing event. The shadow casting that we do here is films such as Rocky Horror, or Little Shop of Horrors, or Repo the Genetic Opera, or even The Forbidden Zone. Wow, The Forbidden Zone. When's the last time you saw that? Or maybe shadow casting isn't your thing, but what about rooftop cinemas? That's right. Right on our rooftop, we do special screenings of throwback movies that you love, including Ghostbusters, or the current Beauty and the Beast, Guardians of the Galaxy, or even Jurassic Park. And that's not the only thing with these rooftop cinemas. They also have special people that show up, special guests, including the Orange County Ghostbusters and their vehicles and their costumes, or maybe Jurassic Park and the Jurassic Park Jeep. You ever gotten a photo with any of these things? I have, and it's because I was there at these events. So if you're looking for special events to go to, or out of this world, just crazy audience participation things like Scott Pilgrim and with lights and sound and things that you've never even seen before, go to the Frida Cinema. You can check out the Frida Cinema locations, filming, schedules, and everything entertainment-wise at www.thefridacinema.org. Or you can follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/thefridacinema, and on Instagram and Twitter at the Frida Cinema. The Frida Cinema, for the filmmakers, for the film goers, and for you.
This has been a production of Big Bulb Entertainment, executive produced by Jonathan Young. For more media and information, visit us at www.bigbulbentertainment.com. Big Bulb, what's your bright idea?